Hello everyone. So, this lecture we will talk about basics of Android platforms. So, what is Android, what makes it so special, and few features of Android platform, for example, what are the application, app stores and some security features. So, starting with motivation of a operating system, we all are familiar with operating system for mobile for personal computer, for example, Windows, Mac or Ubuntu. So, the basic idea of a operating system is to manage the hardware and provide common services to the applications. But in case of smart devices, we have a lot of more hardware than compared to a personal computer. For example, we have touch screen, we have cellular features like call and SMS, we have location services like global positioning systems, we have several communication protocols, for example, NFC, Bluetooth. We also have several sensor devices, for example, microphone, cameras, gyroscope. So, all these hardware capabilities make mobile phone a very complex device, and the operating system of such device should support all kind of devices with varying capabilities. So, Android is an operating system for such smart devices. What is basically Android is, it has three components. On the basic level, it is an operating system which is based on existing Linux kernel. So, this operating system make use of all the hardware capabilities of smartphone and abstract it out to the applications running on it. Apart from the operating system, Android also includes some middleware which gives you the common platform for running applications. So, this middleware will provide services to build applications and execute application. Apart from this, Android also includes some key applications, for example, phone, contacts and browsers. So, what makes it Android so special? The philosophy is open. A little bit about the background of Android project. So, in 2007, 47 companies started an alliance to create open standards of mobile phones, to create the standards which can execute on all kind of devices with varying capabilities. So, this alliance included companies from mobile operators, for example, Vodafone, companies for semiconductor, for example, Intel, some software companies, for example, eBay, Google, some handset manufacturer companies, for example, Samsung, Toshiba, and some other commercial companies, for example, Nokia. So, the basic idea of these companies was to create open standard for mobile devices, and the outcome of this alliance was Android project. Currently, there are more than 900 million active Android devices, and the rate is increasing by 1 million per day activation. So, we saw that Open Handset Alliance is one feature of openness in Android. What else? The Android code is open source. What does it mean is that anyone can download the Android code and change it and customize it according to his or her need. Android also open from the user's point of view. So, the users can control their experience, they can control how many applications they want on their phone, they can remove applications, install another applications. Android is also open from the developer's point of view. So, to build an application on Android and to ship that application, developers do not require any permission. So, the common philosophy of Android which makes it so special is open. So, from its first version of Android release had several new versions. So, it started with basic version of Android 1.0, then it came the Cupcake, Donut, Eclair, Froyo, Gingerbread, Honeycomb, Ice Cream Sandwich, and the current latest version of Android is Jelly Bean. One interesting thing to notice here is that all the names of Android versions are named after desserts or sweets, and they are alphabetically ordered. So, C is succeeded by D and then E, then F. So, what is the update process of Android platform? why it is necessary to know the update process? Because if we are you are going to invest in mobile hardware and you want to make sure that you have the latest feature of Android platform, you need to know what are the update cycles, the release cycles of Android source code. So, Android is released by the Google under the Apache license. So, anyone can make use of this source code and install it on their devices. However, the code released by Google is ready for only the flagship devices of Google. For example, Nexus phone. So, how to update Android on other devices? The update needs to be released by the manufacturer of these devices. For example, if you have an HTC phone, the HTC company will release the latest update of Android, because the company need to configure the new version of Android for device capabilities, or maybe for example, manufacturer apps. Because of this, the updates for all devices might not be available soon, because the manufacturer do not want to, the priority of manufacturer is in releasing new devices instead of supporting all devices. So, if you want to have the latest features of your operating system Android, you should also invest in latest hardware. So, a bit about the technical architecture of Android. So, what are the different layers of Android platform? On the base level, so the Android platform is divided into 4 layers. In the base layer, we have Linux kernel, which gives software abstraction to the hardware, which includes the driver for several sensors, for example, camera, the display driver, Wi-Fi driver. On top of this Linux kernel, we have libraries which provide common services to its to layers above it. For example, the secure shell layer, the SQLite layer, or the runtime environment for the applications. On top of these libraries, we have the application framework, which provide common functionality to build applications. So, this library is specific for application development. So, we have activity manager, which provides services to manage activities of an application, for example, start or end. We also have Windows manager, which provides functionality to manage open windows of an application. And on top of that, we have applications like contacts, browser, or phone. From programming language point of view, the Linux kernel is written in programming language C. The libraries, the common libraries are written in C and C++. The application framework and the applications, they are written in Java programming language. So, the applications running on Android platform, we call them apps. There are more than 1 million apps for Android platform, and they vary from several domains. We have applications for games, we have applications for educational, we have applications for social networking, and we have applications for personal use, for example, location based services. So, the basic idea of this application model is different from the idea of web browser. The idea of web model or web technologies is to shift everything towards browser. So, for comparison, let us consider Google Docs versus Microsoft Office. In Google Docs, you have all functionality of Office on a browser. You do not need to install anything on your device. Compared to that, in Microsoft Office, you have a standalone application which is installed on your device and do not need an internet connection. So, that is the difference between app model and versus web model. In web model, you shift everything towards internet, and app model, part of your application will reside on your client device. In Android, all apps are equal. So, all apps are executed in a sandbox environment. So, they cannot interfere in performance or other activities of other applications. The question is that where do we get them? So, we have repository for apps, repository for Android platforms, where we can search and browse and install applications. The biggest repository is Google Play, which is managed by Google. We also have repository from Amazon, some third party companies repository like Android Pit and Getja. So, the Google Play repository has roughly 1 million apps, and they have been downloaded for around 50 billion times. So, what is the difference between these different repositories is their policies to include applications. Some of them have reviews of applications, some of have different privacy models. On the basis of that, some are actually support more than one operating system, for example, maybe Apple or BlackBerry. So, we have several repository and we can make use of these repository to install application on our devices. Now, a little bit about security features of Android platform. So, in smart devices, we have several sensitive information. For example, we have our contacts, we have our call logs, we have our files, we have our locations, our pictures. So, while we are running applications on the smart devices, they can harm our privacy and they can access this information and send it out to internet or world, external world. So, how Android solve this problem is that it defines permissions to protect this sensitive information. So, each sensitive resource is protected by one or more than one permissions. For example, if any app wants to read your contacts, he needs to get grant of the permission read profile contacts. So, whenever an app wants to access this permission, he wants to have explicit grant from the user. So, in a summary, we saw that what is Android, the different components of Android, its operating system, middleware, applications. We saw that Android is very is different because of its open philosophy, it is open for industry, it is open for users, it is open for developers. We saw that there are more than 1 million applications for Android and there are several app stores, and Android provides permissions to secure information from other applications or users. Thank you.